Hello everyone, and welcome to my universe. This week has been something. I spent so long at trying to get splitters and mergers working. Mergers I thought would be the hard one, but they turned out to be like worthlessly easy because everything is kind of fakey. See, when you think of a factory, right? You think of like a big conveyor belts full of stuff moving, with stuff on them, moving it from place to place. But that's not really what we're doing here. Everything has infinite flow, and we're dealing mostly with what a game like Factorio would consider fluid. And if there's an infinite flow, there's no like flow throttles or anything. So no, we're not dealing with this nice transport of objects. No, we are dealing with pure math. That is how things move through the factory, with nothing but math. And turned out the math for mergers is very easy. Mergers don't have to care about anything, and it's beautiful. Splitters, on the other hand, have to care about everything, and it's terrible. So they're a lot harder to fake. And thus, the adventure began. But, well, I'll go ahead and start putting together all the things that I did. And we'll get mergers working, like, right away. And then after that, I didn't have a completely robust method for splitters. And I didn't have enough time to completely test out everything that I wanted to do to try them. So I'm going to be starting to build out some other functionality to hopefully help what I want to do after that. But first, let's start with the pipes themselves. So I've already kind of got them built here. We just got these little duders here. I built them off stream, and then I had to import them over here so that this way I could easily merge my dev version with the live version here. And it was just easier to bring these guys over than it was to just remake them, but it's okay. Making these isn't very exciting anyway. The exciting part is all the math. So, we'll head back into the code here, and so now that I've got those made, all we gotta do is add them to the list here, and I think I want them be for the phylactery. And then there's one more building that we need. It won't exist in the actual game, but I do need it for testing. But let's get these guys in first. So I'm going to call it a merge pipe. We will preload this. Let me find your ID here. And now the split pipe. And we'll just get these preloaded, and then I can add them to the building list of things you can build, which is just down here, these guys right there. I want them in the same order for the sake of my sanity. So we will add the merge pipe. Oops, I got rid of my parenthesis. Rude. And then the split pipe. Okay, so there we go, and now they're in the nice list. And before I go and build it, I just want to get all their properties and stuff in. Or I guess I should say make it so you can build it, so, add it to the spawn building function. Just a couple of other things I want to take care of here. So all of these need a script to kind of take care of their own properties and whatnot. I just find it a little bit easier than, I don't know, putting it elsewhere. And rather than put you guys through me trying to determine facing and all that stuff, I'm just going to copy and paste it from my dev version where I already did all that. So here we are. Let's just grab all of this, and I'm going to take it over here. And I'll lightly explain things. It's pretty straightforward. So with the way merge pipes are structured, you can see that the black line always marks where the bottom is, so where it gives out. And so the way these work is that it'll take stuff from either side and then spit it out here. And they must be on either side. And if it's right behind it, it doesn't work. It has to be on either side of the grid. So, go ahead and save this. And so that's basically all this is. So, using the same method for all my other ones, this is where it gives if the thing is facing up. So if it's just how it is by default, like this, with this little T guy facing upward. And so then, if it's facing upward, the gives is down below. So that's a positive Y in game design land. So there you go. So that's how that worked. But the receives is a little bit weirder because it can receive from 2 points. So the first one I just did normally. And so I use the same variables as usual. And that represents this one on the right. And then what I called merges does the same thing except for the one on the left. And I just did it all based on how it's turned. So when it's turned to the right, we get this one. When it's turned to the left, we get that one, etc., etc. And that's basically all this does. And then I do some checks for flipping and whatnot. So pretty straightforward. Very, very straightforward. So that's everything for that one. So let's do the same thing with the split pipe here. We'll give him... I did attach the script to the right area, right? I sure did. Oh, but you're not part of the buildings group. Can't have that. Get in there, buddy. You gotta be a building. All the rest of you are buildings, right? Okay, cool. And you're a building. Okay, I'm not sure how I forgot to do that for my split pipe here. That would have been unfortunate, but fortunately I caught it quickly. So let's give the split pipe a script now, so it can keep track of its own stuff. And, you know, once again, just gonna steal it from my dev version over here. Where are you? Here you are. Okay, and we'll just get all this in there. And it's same idea, where this time, rather than the receives that's a little bit complicated, it's the gives that's a little bit complicated. It always receives from here, and then always gives from out there. That's why this one has 2 little black lines. So there we go. So it'll always receive from up here and then give out there. And I did basically the same thing where I let it have a normal gives, and this represents this right side. And then had another one that kind of calculates the same thing. I just called it splits. And this is probably a little more convoluted than I need it to be, but I just did this for the sake of my sanity, so that this way I wouldn't have to try to remember left and right ever. Because that would not go well. I would be second guessing myself for the entire project. So I just prefer leaving the pipes to kind of know how they're facing and where their important numbers are. And that way I can just ignore everything else and I just call the function to get their facing. And since we're only dealing with constants, I think it's fine for it to be static. It doesn't really need to change. I don't really need to be doing any shenanigans. It's, you know, it just spits out the number, and it's great. That's all I really need. All right. So those are our new pipes, and now we do need one more thing, and this is only going to be for testing. This will not be in the final game, but I can't sanely test this without it. And so let's go ahead and make that. So what is this thing? Why, I call it the vaporizer. It's basically a thing where, you know, most of the time you want to take your pipes and get it down into the phylactery so you get untold magic power and can, you know, do cool things. This one just takes your magic power and destroys it. Yes. But I need to do this so that later, once we're like sending magic power between rooms and into like storage tanks and whatnot, that I'm making sure that I am calculating it all correctly. And while in the actual game, it won't be as easy as taking it to just a little square with a thing that destroys all your stuff. If you have like overflow you want to get rid of, it's not going to be that easy. for testing, we gotta keep things easy. Otherwise, I will die. So, we're just gonna make a nice little friend here. And he won't get his own script. He's just gonna steal from normal pipes. So let's see, from here we need a sprite. And then I can add my rectangles. So this is just a black hole. So, and you are a building. I did make you a building, right? I sure did. Okay. Hello there, Jerry. Welcome. Alright, so let's just get a nice placeholder here. And because this is a black hole that just sucks up energy for the sake of testing, we're gonna make him black. It seems appropriate for the thing that just takes everything and destroys it. And strictly speaking, I don't think this is necessary given what I use it for, but I don't know. I'll still add a white line at the bottom here just so I know where it is, on the off chance it becomes relevant. So there we go. Now I'll know what way it's facing, just in case. Why are you— no, color rect, you're not a building. What are you doing? Get out of there. Vaporizer's a building. No, color rect, you don't get to be part of the cool kids club. Okay. Collision. Just get a little guy in there. Not gonna cover the whole thing, it doesn't really matter. That should be plenty. Okay. So, plop it in there. And there we go. We now have a vaporizer. So now we can just destroy all of our resources as much as we want. It'll be useful, trust me. Anyway, and like I said, I'm not going to give it its own script. It exists for testing alone. So I'm just going to let it steal the stats of the normal pipe. I think it should be fine. So let's see here. Let's get this guy into the group. So this way we could build a vaporizer. There we go. Add an extra I, preload. And we'll get it in there. Okay. Add it to my list here. So I can build it. Okay. So now all that is good. And then from here, let's go make it so that this way we can actually draw them and stuff. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here, we have a chunk of code right here that makes it so you can only build within a certain area around the player. This is great. I want it to be in the game, but it's annoying for testing, so I'm going to tell it to go away. And so I don't have to fix all my indentation, I'm going to add a thing right below it, where I say if 1 equals 1. So basically, if true is true. And this way, I don't have to adjust all my indentation. And when I'm ready to turn my actual code back on and not get rid of it for testing purposes, I can do that without pulling my hair out. It's fantastic. So, let's see. While we're here, I'm also gonna make a couple of other changes. I wanted to fix some things here. So, this name is an artifact from when I had both horizontal and vertical flipping. And I only have horizontal flipping now. So, I just want to call it flip. It's okay. Code always starts out like that. You should have seen me trying to talk to computers. It was quite a thing. I like to pretend that programming is just like talking to the spirits. You have to learn their language first. And it is a learning process. It takes time. But eventually, you start to understand. I just want to make sure I didn't use flip H anywhere else. Okay, good. Okay. Yes. Alright, cool. But yes, you know, as you get better to talking to the spirits, they start making more sense. And you kind of understand their shenanigans, because they have a very alien brain. Computers are terrifying. They will do exactly what you tell them to do. Down to the periods. All right. Okay, so let's get... Now that I've fixed that thing that was kind of bothering me, let's go ahead and make it so we can do the pipes. I've already got this written in my dev version, so I'm just going to steal that. I might have to make some adjustments because I was trying to do some stuff at one point. So let's see here. Here's our split pipe and merge pipe. Oh, and the vaporizer too. Okay. Let's see. No, looks like I didn't do any shenanigans to these guys. That's good. Alright. I will have to make some more adjustments to my dictionary of pipes, though, in order to get them working right. Yeah, as you can see, we already got errors because I don't have these variables declared yet. But, you know, we'll leave that for a second, and I'll just tell you what's going on here. So, for the merge pipes, they need an extra thing to keep the coordinates that they take from. Because, you know, a merge pipe has 2 places where it takes from, 2 places where it receives, and the split pipes has 2 places where it gives, whereas everything else just has 1 receiver and 1 giver. So, it needed a little bit of extra stuff, and that's what these are for. So I made a variable called merge receives and split gives for the mergers and splitters, so this way I can also keep track of those coordinates on the grid. I'll run things after I get this done, and we can see them being built. But first, let's get this working. Where's my global dictionary here? Okay, so we got this guy here. Not global dictionary, but my local variables. Yes. And a split gives. And they are just blank for now. They don't need anything. For most of the buildings put down, these are just going to be null, basically. Or 0, 0, I believe. I think that's the default for Vector 2s. So nothing real interesting happens there. And then we also need to put it into this. So this has just all of the information from each pipe. And it's got to be there. I just want to make sure I'm giving them the same names. Because otherwise, I might have a bad time when I go and copy-paste my code for later. So, let's just copy and paste for my dev version over here. Okay, so there we go. Now it's in the dictionary. Everything will get it, but for the most part, it's not going to be used. For the other ones, I can't think of a single situation. But they need to be there so that this way I can do stuff with the mergers and whatnot. And that should let me build them, although they don't work yet. But let's go ahead and run things and make sure I can put them down. So if we... Yep, so you can see I got a merger here, and I can place it. And they can be rotated just like everything else. It could even be flipped just like everything else. And then we have splitters. And, you know, we can just plop them down and all is well. So there we go. And just for fun, the vaporizer. If we ever need to annihilate all of our resources, we can. Alright. So there we go. All the stuff is there. I've not really checked the values yet, but I trust myself. I have tested this enough. I think we're good. Alright. So this is where the fun is going to be. So let's go implement mergers, because they're easy. In fact, in order to get mergers working, I have to do like nothing at all. They just work. It's beautiful. But I did make a couple of changes to this one. I'm gonna scroll down to it. I'm not sure if it's copy-pastable due to something that I was trying to do at one point. Sure isn't. That's okay. Alright. Anyway. So every time we place a building, we recalculate your factory. And this is how we connect all the pipes. And I see that I still have some test code. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, I do not need those right now. I think all is well here. Yep. This is gonna be fine for now. Okay. So I think that the only thing that I need to change here is basically to fix a bug. Yes, let me see. How am I doing this? Okay. Yes, I remember now. Let me... Okay. Okay, no, we're good. Alright. So all this function that I'm about to paste in is going to do, or about to like triple the size of this, is determine if a path exists. Oh yeah, that's right, I have a global variable up there too. Where did I put you? I want to keep it relatively the same. I'll walk through it after I fix this error. Bar has splitters. There it is. Okay, so under flip. Okay. Has splitters. False. Actually, you know what? I want to declare it explicitly because it makes me happy. Okay. Build pipe path. Oh, right, because I called it something different. Okay. Just a few little things there because I wanted to make the language a bit more clear. We're not building anything here. We're just seeing if something exists. Hello there, Meek. Welcome back. Welcome. And hello. We're coding today. I drove myself insane trying to implement splitters this week, and I wasn't quite able to find a solution I liked. So we're gonna try to do that here, but first, mergers, because they're easy. They're so easy. Anyway, I was about to kind of explain the code here. So, every time we build something, we recalculate the factory, and this will determine your various stats and things, and actually, I want to check something in the player here. Okay. So on the off chance that I needed to do something, I gave myself just a little bit of move speed so I could move around. Instead of just letting it be 0, which means you can't move at all. But anyway. So the goal here, this is like the main core of the game, is that when you funnel your energy from the surroundings into your lichy phylactery, then you get more powerful. So each of these elements corresponds to a specific attribute of yourself. The one that I'm mostly working with is water and air because they're easy to demonstrate. Water being your move speed, air being your jump height. So when we're recalculating the factory, we just reset everything. And then we're going through. We're gonna go find the things that pull the energy out of the surroundings. I call them extractors. So we go and we find them, and then we see if a pipe path exists. And in my initial run of vaporizers, did not count toward this, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave that there for reasons for later. Anyway. But yes, we're just looking to see what goes into the phylactery here. And to do that, we try to find a path. So that's a path from the extractor that's getting the energy to the phylactery. And to do that, we take some stats from the initial extractor we're passing in here. And, you know, just, this is the one that we're currently looking at. So at the start it'll be the extractor, but as the extractor finds the next pipe connected to it, current will become that pipe, and etc, etc. And this is the coordinates of it that I need for reasons. Previous is going to be the one that we're looking at before this. So when we're first going in with the initial extractor, that's nothing, so that's why we're making it null. But as we step through this and we go to the next pipe, that will be the extractor. So that'll become previous, and then if we keep going, it'll become that pipe, and etc, until the end of time. Or at least the end of the pipe chain. And what I'm checking is the name of the thing, because I'm looking for a thing called a phylactery. Because that's what it's named. So having the name is important. And then this is going to be the coordinates check next. And that's going to be what this pipe has stored as its gives coordinates. So that's where, you know, it gives energy. That's where it's connected to the next one. So as long as we haven't found the phylactery, we're going to keep looping. We're just going to keep going through every pipe. And this is a way to escape the loop if there is no connection to the phylactery. So you have just floating pipes, maybe you haven't finished building your route yet, or, you know, maybe you just don't feel like connecting it right now. It's all good. It won't crash the game. So this makes it so that we can exit the loop, because after a while we'll have iterated through our entire list of pipes, and if it just cannot find something on the tile that the previous pipe gave to, then eventually these will match and we leave. And then if we don't need to leave, we just set previous equal to current. So this way, if current doesn't get updated because we're out of pipes to look at, we will leave the loop next round. And then we go through all the pipes. And if a pipe is on the right tile, then we check to see if it's the phylactery or the vaporizer. Right now we mostly just care about the phylactery. This will be for later. And if we're able to find that, then good. We have a path. It's wonderful. And if we don't, we check to make sure that the pipe is facing the right direction so that it actually receives from the tile that we were on before, you know, the one that gave to this tile that we're on now. But we actually make sure that it is there and you're not having a something trying to feed into a sideways pipe or something. And then we update all the stats for this next pipe. And now this is where things get fun. But this is splitters, so we're not going to worry about that yet. Let's go verify that the mergers work as expected. Because here's the beautiful thing. The reason I was able to implement mergers so easily is because they secretly don't do anything. I told you at the beginning of the stream that we don't have discrete objects or anything. Everything here is just pure math. And it just so happens that the math checks out, that the mergers don't have to do anything. We just get to pretend like they're greedy pipes, basically. Just pipes with an extra stat to check. And they don't actually have to do anything else. So let me see, am I still printing? Yeah, let's print the values here. So, all we have to do to make it work is make sure that we're checking both of these instead of just this one. And so now it should just work. You know, in theory. So let's go ahead and we'll build a nice little pipe chain here. So there we go. There's our friends, the extractors, getting all the water energy. And I want them to merge right here. Actually, let's do it right here. And then it'll go into our friend the phylactery. Once I connect them all. So now that I've connected one, you can't really see my debug, unfortunately, but water is 200. I might adjust my overlays, this way you can see my debugger better. But you can see I can move a little bit, and if I were to break this pipe, I am super slow. But with the pipe there, we have water energy. So let's go ahead and we'll connect this one. And now my water is 400, so I'm very fast. So you can see the mergers don't actually have to care. And it's beautiful. Because when I first implemented this, I was like, I guess I have to verify. I have to make sure that I know where the other extractor that might be connecting into this side or whatever. Maybe I have to know where it is, but it turns out you don't. Because here, the value isn't actually 400. It's 200 coming from this extractor, and 200 coming from this extractor. The merger doesn't have to care about how much is actually going through it. As long as it's there saying, yeah, I'll pass on whatever's here to the next one. So it's just passing 2 instances of 200, basically, as opposed to one merged 400. And we checked pretty much every situation that we could think of, and we were pretty sure this checks out. Even when we want to add more complicated mechanics later. So, merger is easy. They don't care. They just let things go through. It's beautiful. How long have I been using Godot? This is my first serious game. I have only done like a few tutorials and one practice game before this. I remade Pong just to make sure that I was understanding it well enough to actually do stuff. And there we go. So this is my first serious game with Godot. So far, so good. It's been an experience. I've been enjoying using it. Alright, and now that we've verified that the mergers work, it is time for hell! It is time to figure out how splitters need to work. And oh my god, I racked my brain so hard on this the past couple of days, but I couldn't eliminate all the edge cases. So I'm gonna be trying to implement a slightly different thing that'll make certain other things later in the game a bit easier to deal with. But at the very least, I do have it to where we can calculate a path with them. And, they work as long as you don't expect them to give you any numbers. We do expect them to give me numbers. The numbers are very important. But they can at least calculate the path, and, this solution made me very happy, because I like recursion. I think recursion is hilarious. So the fact that I was able to find a nice recursive, solution for it, for something that felt very recursive to me, made me happy. So, we check to see if the pipe that we're on now is a split pipe. If it is, we note that they're splitters, because we're going to need that later. I haven't implemented this part yet, but we're going to need this later. So the first thing we do is we call this function again that we're in. Is it a mobile game? No. It is the basic idea of the game. It's going to be for PC. I don't have any plans to port it elsewhere yet. We'll see if that changes in the future, but currently no plans. And the basic idea is that it's a Metroidvania with a little factory game attached to it. So I call it a factory Metroidvania. So rather than your factory basically vaporizing your resources to do research so you can build more things, instead, if you have a good factory, you'll be able to run faster, jump higher, attack better, and have more HP. And once you get absurd, you know, you'll be able to jump into the stratosphere, run extremely fast, and run through lava without caring. It'll be wonderful. So we're looking forward to that. And right now, I'm just implementing most of the factory mechanics. So that's what's going on here. So, all right. Anybody to finish this? So what we do here is if we do identify a splitter, the first thing we do is we call the function that we're currently in again. This one, the find pipe path. So we call it again with this, with one of these sides of the splitter, and it'll just iterate through things again. And you know, if it finds the phylactery, great. We win. We return true. We have found the phylactery. It's great. And otherwise, we turn next into the other end of the splitter. So that'll be the split gives as opposed to the regular gives. and then we continue just running down through this function. Yeah. I hope that lots of people will play it, and I'd love if you played it too. It's not done, but I'm working on it. It'll probably be a while. But I'll be streaming the development at least once a week for the foreseeable future. Unless I'm sick and dying or something. But there we go. So that's how we find if a path exists for the splitters. And then just because I need something to make Godot not complain, if we're somehow able to escape the loop, I still have it return true. There's no way we ever escape the loop, but I gotta put something there because Godot says so. So, alright. And there we go. So that's how all of this works. So it's nice and easy to calculate whether or not the splitter's able to find something. What has proven to be a huge pain in the ass is actually keeping track of all the numbers. I think it's time to break out the MS Paint. I want to show you some of the problems that I've run into. So currently we're doing things with vaporizers and stuff, and I know I could just open Krita, but I think that there's something special about using paint to demonstrate code ideas. The scuff is valuable. Alright. So, what makes this hard? Like, this is pretty straightforward. This is fine. I can do this forever. We can make trees like this as long as I want, and it's easy. I just split it in half, and everything is okay. Right? This is pretty easy, because, you know, we just divide the amount of fluid here, and here, and here, etc., etc. We divide it by 2 every time it encounters a splitter, and then everything is okay. What gets really hard is when the shenanigans start happening. So, what's some of the things currently not working? So, we have this. If we vaporize stuff here, and this is just the black box of death, this actually works okay. And just to explain the mechanic, is the way we want it to happen is that if a splitter is blocked, so like, let's just say that this ends here, there's nothing, it just is blocked here, then all of the stuff that would go to this side should go here. So if we have a 200 up here, it initially gets split into 100 and 100 in either direction, but once this realizes that this doesn't go anywhere and it is blocked, then the full 200 should go down this side and be split into 2 pairs of 100 instead of, you know, 2 pairs of 50. Yeah, so this side, it's just blocked, so we pretend it doesn't exist. And everything goes down this side. Now, here on this one, we're vaporizing the resources here. So we're gonna send this into the vaporizer, where it just destroys it. And so these pipes are balanced. So instead, this one is not blocked. So these will be split into 100 and 100. And these will be split into 50 and 50. So in this case, it should split properly. But this one, it should not. And one of the edge cases that I was having trouble with was, we have something like this. This is a dead end, and this is a vaporized. What it was doing, and what should happen in theory, is that this 200 gets split into 100 and 100. And then this goes here to be split into 50 and 50. This is blocked. And so all of this should go into here. So 100 should be going into this vaporizer here. And what was happening is rather than 100 going into the vaporizer here, this, the 50 was going into the vaporizer correctly, but this 50 was going back up here and making this 150 instead. And that was not what we wanted. And I haven't been able to figure out how to do that. But what's really been wrecking my brain what's really been destroying me. And I still don't have a good solution for this. I think this is going to be my goal for next week. I'm not going to worry about this here. Is this. So we have a thing here. We do it like this. And these two are being merged together. And then we have a splitter. Let's split it again for funsies. And then one of these comes up and is what's being merged in here. We have recursive pipes. This is absolutely vital to be able to do. You have to be able to do this. Because otherwise there's no way to split your resources into thirds. We want people to be able to split things into thirds. That's important. But this... nightmares. This is really hard, because the way that I generally calculate it is I calculate things all the way to the end, and there's no end here. And then I have to, like, be able to recognize that this is not 200. This is what? So we have 100. It'll get split here to 100, 50, 50, 50. And then over here, this will come back up to here, so it'll be like, what, 250? But then it, you know, it goes through again, and that number will get a little bit bigger because it's recursive, and it's pain. So, splitters proved to be very hard. This was very hard to figure out. I have not been able to do so yet. But, and strictly speaking, I don't even have all the edge cases fully worked out, even without recursive pipes. So, I want to try to do an implementation that we wanted to be able to do at some point. And that is to make it so all of our objects here can hold multiple elements. Because right now I only have it so they can have one. And if we look at my sources here, it can only hold one. But we want sources to be able to have multiple elements in them. For reasons. So I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that now. Because a potential solution that I came up with was to put the elements that are in the splitter just in the dictionary here, like I do for the extractors. And then, you know, I can at least know if I've run across the pipe before. I can know what's inside of it and maybe figure out the connections that way. Basically, they're shenanigans, and I think that being able to recognize all of the elements and what's inside of it will be helpful. So, the first thing I actually want to do, we're going to go into the extractor code here. Where are you? Oh, yeah, here you are. And, oh, do you not have export variable? Oh, yeah, it's the sources, not the extractor. There we go. So, into the source code. Right now, I just have the type as a string and the amount as a float. The current plan is to make it so that you can only have one amount, but just for the sake of some things that I have to do, some other things, I'm gonna make both of these arrays. I am also considering them just making them dictionaries instead, but I think for this particular part, having it be an array makes more sense. So now we can potentially have multiple sources, and I kind of want to test this just to see if this is sufficient for everything that I want. So let's go ahead and go into our main scene here. I have this first source selected, the one that I use for most of the testing. Alright. So it looks like it's lost its initial thing. So we'll go ahead and give it water element, and let's give it some air element too. And amount, I'll add 200 for the water, and we'll do 400 for the air. We'll make it a little bit smaller than the actual air source here. Okay. Let's see, those values are in there, right? If I click here, yep, we're good. And then it looks like it kind of killed what I had in the other one, so I'm just going to go ahead and add them back. Add element. Water. I did capitalize things on the other one, right? I sure did. I enjoy capital letters, personally. Okay, 200. And then my air one over here. And it will have 800. Okay, so this should be roughly the same as what I had last time before I updated all the sources here. So let's see if it works out. Oh. Ah, that's right. Okay, so I have to do way more updating before I can actually test it. You know what? Let's just dive right into it. Let's do it. The way I initially wanted to do this was with the dictionary. Because personally, I find it easier to say that, building a sub-water, basically, is equal to a thing, as opposed to building sub-zero is equal to the number. I find that I find it a little bit easier to understand when I can use words. So I wanted to use a dictionary, but I found myself dealing with shenanigans when I tried to use a dictionary. So I kind of want to run a couple of tests in order to see how all this works. And so just to make my life easy, we're gonna go ahead and just say that this is 0 for now. Just so I can run things. Oh, it thinks it's still open. Okay, stop. It don't need to be open, it's fine. Okay, so I want to test a couple of things with dictionaries, because I clearly do not fully understand them, and I was running into some really awful things. So, let's see here. I'm gonna just put something in the ready function here, just so I can see if I was, you know, hallucinating when I thought I saw this. So let's see, I'm gonna make var test 1. And I'm gonna make it equal to blah. Blah has a value of 1, and foo has a value of 2, and bar has a value of 3. Perfect. Oh, I forgot the commas. So that is perfect. Now I'm going to put var test 2 is equal to test 1, and then I'm gonna say test 2 sub blah is actually equal to 4. And what I would expect if I do this is for test 2 sub blah to equal 4 and test 1 sub blah to equal 1. But I swear to God, when I tested this in my dev version, when I was fiddling around with this, a test 1 sub blah would also equal 4. So let's go ahead and print them. So we'll print test 1 and we'll print test 2. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I am not hallucinating and that dictionaries work the way that I think they do. And that I don't have to be pulling these shenanigans in order to make it work and breaking my brain. So let's do that. Okay. So if we look up in the debug here, I am not hallucinating! Jesus Christ! Look! Blah is 4. In test 1 as well. Oh, that's scary! That's so scary! So, what it looks like to me is that whenever you make a dictionary equal to another dictionary, they're like tied together in memory somehow. And whenever you alter one, you alter the other. Ooh. Okay. So yeah, when I initially did it in my test, when I was gonna start keeping track of all the elements, I wanted to use a dictionary. Because I thought being able to say that, you know, pipe, sub, water was easier to understand than, pipe, sub, zero. Because I would just immediately know that this was supposed to be the water element, as opposed to this here, where I may not. Pain. But if it's gonna be doing, you know, nonsense like this, we're just all tied together, and you guys can't see my debug stuff, so I'll make the chat just a little bit shorter here. Like, look at that. That was the result of me just doing this. I always felt like, you know, the blah in test 1 should have remained 1, because I didn't change blah in test 1. I didn't. And this was probably the reason that I was chasing my tail so hard in some of my attempts to fix splitters. So, you know what? No, I'm not going to use a dictionary. I'm going to use an array. And I'll just make sure to always put things in the right order. So I want to keep track of what elements are. Okay. I'm going to note in here and I'm just going to note this. Two is air. 3 is earth. And this will always be true. And I just want that to be there, so that this way I can just look up here anytime I forget in order to double check my code. Because I'm not going to be able to use nice convenient things, because I don't want to be dealing with this with every dictionary I make. That sounds awful. I'm honestly concerned for what this means for my pipe dictionary, and I really hope I don't have to switch it to an array. I'm wondering if that's a bug or if it's a feature. But I don't like it. I don't. I really don't like this. Oh well. No need to harp on it for now. Let's go ahead and start turning all of this into arrays now. And so I will plop a array of types and an array of amounts in here. So I'll just make some little local variables. And this will no longer be a string. This is now going to be an array of strings. No, not an array of strings, an array of strings. That's important. And this is going to be an array of floats. And now I should be able to just do that, and all will be well. Okay, so that should do all the things I want it to do, but, you know, just to make sure that arrays aren't stupid too, let's go ahead and in the ready function, I'm gonna test arrays. We're gonna have test 1. Var test 1 is, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. Is that not how you do arrays here? Expected statement. Okay, I gotta look up on how to declare arrays in Godot. Give it just a moment. This is kind of the downside, trying to learn a new programming language. I don't know the syntax. How do I declare arrays? Equals... Oh, that should work. Why are you barfing? Oh. I actually put a space in my variable name. There we go. var test 2 equals test 1. Var test 2 sub 0 equals 4. Okay. Oh, no, not var, just test 2. There we go. All right, let's print this out. Print test 1 and print test 2. Am I dropping frames? My music just cut out for some reason. Oh dear. Is YouTube okay? Am I still live on YouTube? Let me check here. Okay, no, looks like we're okay. Hello there, Protox. The fact that I'm getting chat messages bodes well for whether or not I'm still live on YouTube. So, okay. OBS says I'm good, Twitch says I'm good, this says I'm good. Okay. I think I'm good. Alright. So let's go ahead and test this case now. And if we look at the debug code... Ooh, arrays do it too! What the hell? That is concerning! I might as well just use a dictionary then. I thought for sure that arrays would be different. Why does this happen? Because, like, the way I see it, test 1 here, that... Oh, let me close the game, but test 1 I set equal to 1, 2, 3. And then I said that, test 2 is equal to that array that I just made. And then... I changed test 2, but I did not change test 1. So why is it like this? This is terrifying. Okay. In that case, I think I might as well just use the dictionary. Just so I don't have to worry about, you know, stuff like this. I'll leave that there just in case I need arrays of elements. I hate it. You know what? I am definitely not hallucinating there. That was a very clear test. Why does setting a dictionary to another dictionary link them? Dictionary values across nodes are shared. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't remember ever having to deal with this in C#, but, to be fair, I didn't try very hard. But it makes sense. Okay. It was just not something that I expected, and thus it caused me issues. But at least now I know what to expect, and hopefully it shouldn't cause me issues. So I'm just gonna use the dictionary. This way I could use pipe sub element, pipe sub water, instead of pipe sub 0. I think that'll be easier. Alright. So let's see here. I'm thinking about how I want to do this. Because I don't think I need these anymore. So I guess I'll make... yeah, I just need one dictionary. So I will call it a source dictionary. Is a dictionary of string float. Oh god. Now my music's all messed up. Okay, sorry. Give me just a sec. I would like to avoid messing with things too hard. Alright, let's hope this doesn't blow up the YouTube stream. I apologize if I disconnect briefly. Okay, I think we're good. Anyway, let me make sure nothing exploded there. Looks like I'm okay. I still see chat. I still see everything. Okay. So there we go. So now I have that. And yeah, that should be good. And then in the extractor, this is the only place that the elements are relevant right now. We'll have here, where we need to loop through all the elements in the source. So for type in source dot type, we say what did I just call it? Source dictionary? Sure did. Subtype, yes, is equal to source subtype source dot amount sub type. Yeah, there we go. Valid index. Should type not be a string? I thought I made it an array of strings. Because we're trying to get through that. Valid index type string. But I'm going through source.amount here. I'm just using type for the number. Okay, so source.type is just... yeah, it's just the strings. So I need like a counter. Okay. That should do it. And then we'll say type equals... yeah, this should do it. Source dot amount sub element counter, and then we increment this element counter. Can I do that? No, it doesn't like that. Okay, we'll just do that. Plus equals 1, and then every time this is called, it'll reset it, and I should get it, and this way I can just put in the name. Okay. Yeah, this looks fine. And I don't need this at all anymore, because now this will all be stored in the elements spot there. And this is going to be source dictionary now. Perfect. All right. So I want to make sure this works. I really do. So let's take this, and I am just going to print it. I should have written print first, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we're gonna print that, and that should print on my shiny new source there. Yeah, we're good. It is printing it well, and over here it should only print water. Oh, did I get these backwards? Okay, I got them backwards. Let's fix that. Okay, so source 3. No, you're not supposed to be air. You're supposed to be water. But it's okay, it works. It works correctly. I just, this is human error. This is, not a problem with the code I just wrote. These things happen. It's okay. Okay. Now then. Yeah, back to the script. And this appears to be doing what I want it to do, so we should be good. We should now be able to handle multiple elements in a single source, and multiple elements in any given building. Now I have to think about what to do next. Okay, so... here... because this is not currently updating for multiple sources, so I need to be able to do that. Let me think about how I want to do that, because, you know, this doesn't make sense anymore. Amount is not real. I just killed it. Okay. Let me just think for a moment, and I will update that. I just always like to think things through nice and slowly. So all I really need to do is iterate through the amount within this extractor. And then it should be fine. But I think what I actually want to do is I want to put these amount onto the phylactery itself. This was something that I was talking about doing later, because at some point we're going to want to add buildings that essentially act as storage tanks for things, special things you can do. Right now everything is super straightforward, but this is the thing we want to do later, and I want to be able to store the elements within those tanks on the tanks themselves. So I was thinking about doing the same thing with the phylactery. So this tells me that I probably want to be able to write it onto here. And I'm thinking about how I would like to do that. This is currently without any splitters or anything. So within my dev code, I'm not sure if this is the best solution, but what I did is I would loop through the pipes and make sure that there is a path, and then have some special logic if splitters existed. And I'm debating on whether or not that was even a good way to do it in the first place. So we're kind of getting into new territory for me here, so I'm probably gonna slow it down just a little bit. And I am wondering... That's why this returns a bool. I just wanted to get the path, and when there were no shenanigans, it was nice and easy. But now that splitters are real, it's no longer nice and easy. Because I want to make it so this way you could potentially send stuff into multiple places. So, you know, those aforementioned storage tanks at some point, into the vaporizer that I built at the start of the stream for testing purposes, that kind of thing. And what I ended up doing in my dev version was I would check to see if the path was found, and then if it was, start walking through each thing. Hello there, Polrentine. Welcome back. And that was kind of my plan there, but now I'm honestly just not sure if I really like it. And so I'm kind of thinking about how I would do it better. Just to give an idea of what I need to do, I'll go ahead and just write it in comments here. Do I have steady tips? What are you having trouble with? Let's see, so what I need to do here. Gonna try to walk through this. Where basically I need to know how much stuff, I'll call it energy, is coming out of the sources. And like I mentioned at the start of the stream, all of this is going to be super fakey. It's all done with pure math. It's just all math. Well, there's a valid path. And, if there's no splitters, this is all I need. Splitters are the only thing that makes it complicated. The only thing that makes it complicated. So, all of this is strictly, basically, to figure out how I need to do splitters. So, in order for splitters to work, I need to know, does splitter exist? Is it a splitter? And then, do both sides, end in something that uses energy. So if one side is blocked, so it is incomplete, it doesn't reach a vaporizer or the phylactery, then all of it goes onto the other side. Let's see. Bunch of architects. Okay. Well, I mean, the way the brain learns is via association. So, I mean, it doesn't even matter if the association makes sense or not. The advice that I've heard for memorization a lot is to imagine that you're, like, walking through a house, and the information that you want is on certain things within the house that you're building in your head. You can probably find better people for knowing, if you kind of Google that idea, you should be able to find a lot of specifics for it. But that's typically what I see it. So, but even if you don't want to use that method specifically, associate it with something, and the memorization will come faster. And then I'm not sure what kind of test that you're having, but there's also specific things you can do to make multiple choice tests a little bit easier, so you don't have to memorize quite as hardcore. But yeah, I mean, if you're just trying to get past the hating it part, then just, acknowledge that you're having to do this for whatever particular grade or certification that you want to get, and just know that this is maybe one step closer to whatever goals are more important. And so you just kind of deal with it. As at the very least, if you can stop making yourself too angry or annoyed at it, it does make it a little bit easier. But in general, when it comes to memorization, if you're just doing straight hardcore memorization, associate it with some other random things and you will never forget it again. I'm just trying to think of way I remember certain things. Okay, yeah, here's a good one. So I've been studying Japanese, and that involves memorizing lots and lots of kanji. And their readings and stuff. And there's a couple that I will never forget, because I think that there are some really funny Japanese words for it. And one of which is the word for a Japanese shrine, so, you know, jinja. The kanji for it, if you interpret it literally, means a god company, and I think that's hilarious. And so whenever I look at those two, I just always remember it is the god company. And that's what shrines are. They are the god company. Let me see, some other stuff I had to, like, memorize in school. That I just think have a very funny association with, and that I will just never forget. The memory comes up anytime I think about the particular thing, but remembering what kind of things I have weird things that just let me remember. It doesn't always... I can't always just think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, beyond that, if you don't want to try to think of weird associations, the other option is flashcards. And just to drill it, like, every day, probably multiple times every day, once or twice. You don't have to overdo it. And, you know, in a couple of weeks, you'll probably have it memorized. It's a hassle. That's never gonna change. But if you want to do it, you know, just remember your goals, try not to get too pissed off, and then drill. Come up with some funny association if you want to. Build a mental house in your head, and imagine this architect on the table. Those things also work. Alright. Anyway, back to code here. Let's see. So I was thinking, what do I need for Splitter's work? So first, I need to see if I come across a splitter in the path. Do both sides end in something that takes energy? So the vaporizer, in this case, it's only going to be the vaporizer or the phylactery. And then I need to know how much energy is going through them. Or potentially just number of splits. This one I'm not so sure about, but I think it could go either way. I remember that one of my initial solutions just divided everything in two every time, or no. One of my initial solutions just counted the number of splitters that you ran into, and then divided the final amount by that number. But it ran into the issue where if you do some stupid stuff, so we say we have the source here, I'll make it black, and we have the phylactery over here, and we had it doing something silly like this. That the solution I just described, where I just counted the number of splits, didn't work. Alright, good luck! I wish you the best! Life is bullshit sometimes, you get used to it! But yes, the solution I described, where I counted the number of splits and then divided it, didn't work when I had a stupid thing like this. Because you'd count 1 split, 2 splits, and then you'd divide the number twice. So if this was 200, you'd do it over 2, and you'd get 100. And then you'd do that over 2 again, and you'd get 50. And if these ended in vaporizers, that is correct. But they all go into the phylactery. So this should still be 200. But it wasn't. It was 50. So you can't just count the number of splits. So unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It's very sad. So I can't do that, but potentially, if I can just do something like that, but better, it might work out. So I'll just say maybe, but I think it's more likely that this will actually make it easier. So they're shenanigans. Oh god. Dude, I spent the last 2 days beating my head against trying to figure out how to do this, and it was really hard. Alright. Yep, sounds like school. I'm, never gonna claim that school is not full of nonsense. It absolutely is, but you know what? So is work, and so is everything. That's why I say you get used to it. You just kind of have to decide which pain is worth tolerating it for the sake of furthering your own goals, and which is not. So if school is important to your goals, then, you know, do your best. And if it's not, then do the bare minimum to not piss off your parents. Alright. Thanks for stopping by. And good luck with your exams. Okay. I really liked just being able to find whether or not the path exists, so that this way I don't have to pull shenanigans if there's no splitters. You know, that is a pretty good one too. I have to admit, Japanese kanji combinations, hilarious. A lot of them are really great. The God Company I will never forget, though. I wish I could think of some of the other really funny combinations off the top of my head here, but my brain is firmly in code mode, and I'm having trouble thinking of them. The ones that I thought were hilarious. But they're definitely a bit on the nose about some things. Alright. So I did like doing this just so I didn't have to pull shenanigans. But doing it like this means that I have to loop through everything again if there's splitters. I think I might still do it like this just because it makes sense in my brain. But I want to stay ahead of time that I don't think that this is the most efficient way to do it. But I think it's workable, and at least for game code, something that works and makes sense to the person writing it is more important than efficient until you have a performance issue. And there's enough looping here that legitimately there might end up being a performance issue, but considering how easy the calculations are, I kind of doubt it. It's all just math, and computers are really, really good at math. So I'm gonna roll with this solution for now, and if I get a performance issue later, I will revisit it, and hopefully by then future me will know more about programming and she'll be able to handle it. Trusted in you, future self. Here we go. So what I'm gonna do, I'll keep my notes here. I'm gonna keep this method to just see if a path exists, and I'm gonna keep it simple. And, I'm gonna change how I do this. We're not gonna have the vaporizer be an endpoint. I'm going to give it a second variable. Allow vaporizer. And this way, for when I start checking on whether or not there's valid paths for splitters, I can call the vaporizer a valid path. And do I want to do it like that? No, I don't think it makes sense to do it like that. I changed my mind. So, at some point I mentioned that we want to be able to add storage tanks that you can use to do some neat alchemy and get cool stuff. And I want to use this as kind of a placeholder for those tanks. We're just vaporizing it for now, but at some point you're gonna use, you know, special magic alchemy to transmute it into something special. Okay, so I do want to keep it like that. I want to make it so that we can do this. And what I'm thinking about right now is that at some point, I would like to just put the amount of element getting into the phylactery just onto the phylactery itself in the dictionary. So that's exactly why I wanted to make the dictionary that holds all the information on the pipes. That's why I wanted it to be able to hold multiple elements, because I thought it would make this part easier. And now I'm just thinking about, okay, how do I get that information onto the phylactery? And I'm debating with myself on whether or not I just want this to be able to only find a path. No, I think this is fine. I think just being able to find a path and keep things straightforward if there's no splitters. Okay. So if there's no splitters, I'm gonna need to rewrite this entire thing anyway. So I'm just gonna delete it. So if has splitters is true, do shenanigans. We'll do shenanigans later. Else, oh, whoops. Typos. Okay. Otherwise, I think that even if this function only found a vaporizer, since I do intend to put numbers on things, what am I making? I am making a game. Hold on, let me finish my train of thought, and I'll give you the rundown, but I don't want to completely lose my train of thought. But thank you for asking, Power Cord. Give me just a minute. So, let me see, what do I need to do here? I need to make it so that I get the values on the phylactery, but there's currently no values on the phylactery. Okay, so no, we have to do shenanigans regardless. So, okay, so we're just got to do shenanigans. I have now thought through that, so here's the basic pitch of the game. So, it is a Metroidvania, where, in addition to, you know, being able to run around the map and find power-ups that let you get to new places and whatnot, you are also making a little factory. And that factory will increase your strength, based on how well you make it and how efficient you make it. So if your factory's good, you'll be able to run faster, jump higher, attack better, and have lots of HP. So as you get really, really strong, you'll be able to jump into the stratosphere, run extremely fast, and just, you know, flat out run through lava, because you can just tank it. It'll be beautiful. So that's the basic idea, and right now I'm just putting together all of the factory mechanics. Right now we're implementing splitters, and they are a nightmare. Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, splitters, nightmarish. I'm terrified. And I get the feeling I might be working on them more next week. What is the issue with the code? No particular issue. I'm just thinking about how I want to implement this feature. Because there's a lot of scary things that have to be done. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to implement splitters for the factory. And unfortunately, splitting all the stuff is just not easy. I'm more thinking through the logic of how this needs to be done, rather than strict implementation details. So, it's rough out there, man. It would take me a little while to explain all the rules. Because there's lots of things to keep track of. Hello there! Thank you for greetings from Germany! Welcome! We're making a game! And I'm dying slightly because what I'm trying to do right now is kind of hard. Not really, because it looks like nothing. And so does the splitter. It also looks like nothing. So, you know... it is what it is. Everything is done in code, basically. So I'm just trying to... I'll run the game in a sec. That's why I say I'm kind of at a point where it'll be really hard to help me. I'm very sorry. I'm always willing to accept help, but I'd have to run through like the entire code base, my entire logic for how splitters need to work. It would take a while. That's why I say it'll be pretty hard right now. I just kind of have to walk through my logic. But don't worry, I'm sure that there will come a point where something's exploding and doing something that I didn't expect and I have to debug it, and then I can get help again. Look, sometimes you just gotta do shenanigans. Alright, let me think here. Gotta try to think this again. I do appreciate the offer for help. I will let you know. Oh, I'm glad. I'm doing my best. And I worked very hard to get my character working. I drew it and rigged it myself. They're instant. It is pure math. There is no flow rate or anything. If your things are connected, it is instant. So it's very easy. It's just, sometimes keeping track of the shenanigans is a little bit hard. So, that's exactly why I'm trying to think through this. Let's not worry about splitters. We're gonna pretend if splitters don't exist for a moment, and I am just gonna go in and, try to figure out how to get non-splittery things working. I'm just gonna do this so that it doesn't bother me. Okay. So I think for non-splitters, all I really need to do... I kind of hate the idea that I need to iterate through this again, though. And that's part of what's offending me. And at this point, we have almost certainly lost what the initial thing is, and it's also recursive. Okay, no, well... breath of air through the nose. Because it's like I could potentially just say, here, put the value on the phylactery here. It's all good. If you just want to lurk, that's fine. Just lurk. Lurking is fine. I love my lurkers. It's okay, just enjoy the vibes. Because, like, I could potentially just say, hey, if there's no splitters, you can just put the initial thing passed in here onto the, but that just seems like I'll wreck my face later if I try to do too many things in this function. Because it's like, on the one hand, I do like the idea of keeping my functions compartmentalized, but on the other hand, if I try to do too much here, I think it'll be hard to debug, but I think it might be worth it in this case. But no, even then. Okay, so if I try to put so I guess it's just a basic rundown for how this works. I make a dictionary when the pipe is created. It looks like this. It's, you know, fairly easy, and we keep track of the elements in things here. The only thing that sets it is the thing that gets the element out of the ground. I call it the extractor. That's where things initially get there. And the goal is to get the magical power from the extractor into the phylactery, because you are a lich and you are just funneling all the power from your surroundings into your magical phylactery in order to get strong. So all of the information on what the extractor is pulling out is going to be stored here. For pretty much every other building, this is null. It's just nothing. I actually think it might be 0, but I'm not entirely sure. I might set it so it is 0, but I don't need to worry about that right just yet. This is fine. So, the extractor has that information, and I could potentially plop it on the phylactery here. How long have I been working on this project? About 2 or 3 weeks. We are in the early stages, and you know what? Now that things are running, I can, well, I deleted all the code that makes some stuff happen. So, but that's okay. So basically all I'm trying to do, we got Super Scuff here. Is it coming up? Good. And I like to make my placeholders as ugly as possible so that this way I'll want to finish it later and make it look nice. So don't worry, the ugliness, fully intentional. I especially like that the grid does not go all the way to the edge of the screen. And so the basic idea, you plop a thing on these little power sources, and then you try to funnel it into this red thing. And if I had code hooked up, you'd be able to move at this point. But I deleted all the code, so that's what I'm trying to figure out here, is how I'm going to make it so that the phylactery recognizes what is inside of it. And that's what I'm deciding. And right now, we have a thing that determines whether or not we have a working path. That's what this little block of code does. And I'm just deciding on how to get that information into the phylactery and then up into here. So I could return it. I actually did it the other way. I did it from the source to the phylactery. That made more sense to me. And I rather like my solution for finding it. The only thing remaining, like, I already find it. Very reliably. You can make any combination of paths, and if a path exists, I will find it. And I have tested this so extensively that I'm extremely confident. The matter is just getting the numbers in there, and if it weren't for splitters, it'd be very easy. I actually had that working within like 20 minutes of the stream starting, even with me explaining everything I was doing in great detail. It was super easy. The splitters just make things very, very, very complicated. So that's why I say it's kind of hard to help me right now. I do appreciate it, but don't worry. Just having you guys here to explain to is immensely helpful. So don't worry. just having a good excuse to talk through my logic is very, very helpful. So, just how I'm planning on getting the numbers into places, and how much looping I want to do. Because as it stands, if has splitters is false, I suppose I should put the if there, that's important. So if we don't have splitters, then all I need to do is get the values from the extractors. And I can just do water amount plus equals pipe info sub item. So that's the pipe that we're on, sub elements sub water. And what this tells me is that at the very beginning when I make that dictionary, I do indeed want to instantiate it like this. Equals, we get a curly, water, 0, fire, 0, air, 0, earth, 0. Okay, so I do think I want to do this so that this way, for any elements that are 0, I can safely add them. It will always have all of the elements in it. And once we get new elements, we have a couple of planned, then I'll just add them to this. Alright. I appreciate it. So thanks for stopping by, and sorry, a lot of this is just me kind of rambling and talking in circles right now. It's just... I'm oh god. I have been beating my head against splitters the past couple of days, and... yeah, don't worry, I think next week, or if I do any Gorilla streams throughout the week, every week, Thursday is gonna be my programming streams. And then, you know, Friday I do game stream, and Saturday I do a drawing stream. So Thursday is when I will always be coding. I'll probably be... hopefully I will have figured out some things throughout the week, and there will be a little more happening, but here we go. I think this will be enough if we don't have to deal with splitters. And then I can go back to splitter logic. Elements, air, and earth, is going to be elements, earth, and then we just recalculate it, and in theory this should be fine. So let's see if it works when we do not have splitters. So I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna funnel energy straight into the phylactery. Can I move? Sure can, and you can see in my debug that we have water 200. And as long as I don't bring in the splitters, let's see if I can add a second source. So I think this also has water of 200. Yep, and now we have water 400. So at the very least, if we don't have to deal with splitters, this is fine. I think this doesn't work if we run into the vaporizer, though, so... if I were to take this and run it directly into the vaporizer, it still works, unfortunately. So... it's still gonna have to figure out something, but I'm gonna leave this here for now, just so I can demonstrate the game. Okay. So, we'll leave it like that for a little bit, and let's see if I can come up with a more elegant solution. I could, in theory... well... I could, in theory, check for a phylactery, but frankly, I think I'd rather... Yeah. I shouldn't think of this as a vaporizer. This is not meant to represent something that is just devouring your resources, because that is strictly for testing purposes, just to make sure that splitters will work. This will not exist in the actual game, so the way that I want to think of it is as a storage tank, and I want to make sure that I am correctly assigning values to the storage tank versus the phylactery, so I gotta make sure that it is the proper thing, and initially all this was supposed to do was return a path to the phylactery, so maybe I should be making something that, you know, another list of pipes. That was one potential solution I had. Because I'm not sure if I want to iterate through everything again, if I don't have to. But I might have to. I am absolutely 100% overcomplicating this. Let's see, I'm gonna have to go soon, but I think for next week, I'm going to try to type up a diagram on how splitters work, and then I can just plop that up on screen anytime somebody's curious, instead of having to go through and explain the whole thing. But at the very least, mergers are working, and I think I have a very good understanding of dictionaries and whatnot, and how they work, and how... And now we can handle multiple elements in here as opposed to just one like before. That's actually pretty big. And I think this will be a good representation of everything. I did not make as much progress on splitters as I wanted, but man, it's just every time I try to think about how to do certain things. And I think that this will be a good start, where I think about, okay, how am I going to put this on my phylactery pipe within its dictionary? Because I think that's how I want to handle some things. Because then I can just check that from anywhere, and that'll be fantastic. And that'll work the same for buffers later, and then eventually there's going to be pipes that go between rooms. And I'll be able to just plop the elements that should be in them into there and pretend like they're a source, and that'll be fantastic. I think that'll be so much easier. And so a lot of this was just groundwork for stuff that's coming later that unfortunately you guys can't see because it's in my head. But all of that is super important. So I think we're gonna have another week of splitters. And I'm terrified. Okay. And I am just very mumuch caught between, do I iterate again to add the values or not? Because it does seem like I could just do it right here. Well, I'll leave that decision for the me of probably either an hour from now or the me of tomorrow. Because... wait. I've been coding so much that I think I totally have the time wrong. I don't need to leave for another hour. We're good. Okay. In that case, let me think about how I want to keep track of things. That was my approach off stream. It was extremely flimsy. It sounds bizarre, but it didn't work very well. And that's why I'm trying to reconstruct it from the top up, and why I think it'll be hard for me to accept help here. Because trust me, I beat my head on this quite a lot. I have gone through many a different thing. So, let's see. You know what? I kind of like this idea. I will call this a path dictionary. And I don't think I can give it a specific type because this is going to be full of shenanigans. So down here in recalculate factory, I want to reset it here. So path dictionary does dot clear just reset it for me. Is that what that one does? Again, just syntactically challenged because I'm somewhat new to Godot. Now, when it comes to syntax, if I am screwing something up syntactically or just, you know, a specific Godot-ism or I'm doing something silly like that, please tell me. That I do very much appreciate it. Okay, and I'll go ahead and just, well, we'll make it empty up there because it makes me happy. Okay. So I want to make sure it's empty. I'm just gonna make sure this works like I think it should. And, so if has splitters is false. Then okay. So if we don't have to worry about splitters. Okay. If we don't have to worry about splitters, just thinking about this again, I can take, because it should end always. The problem is that I've never actually written something in Python. The scripting language I know is Perl, and to a lesser extent Ruby. Ruby is what I used at work for what I needed it for, but, you know, for whatever reason, I just never had to write Python. I know roughly how it works, but I've never actually had to write it. Let's see, what was I doing? So we will construct the path, and every time we go through here, I will just add path dictionary dot add. Is it add? How do you add something to a dictionary? What's the method for it? Duplicate, assign? No, probably not. Let's see, duplicate, get, no, add is probably not what I want. Merge? Oh no, I know what to do. Okay. It's, path dictionary sub, current chords. I'm gonna use the vector2 location as the key is equal to type info. No, this is scary because I'm doing dictionary adding. duplicate what I want? What's the safe way to add things to a dictionary? Let me see. Let me find it. Again, you know, syntactically challenged here. It's fine. I've been using Godot for, you know, like 3 weeks, so it's fine. Godot. Make dictionary equal another dictionary. Okay, so what I'm doing is the safe way. It's not gonna make things very upset. If I try to change a value in this dictionary, it's not going to change the value in my other dictionary if I do it like this. Because that's what I'm worried about right now. If I do that and then make it equal to my pipe info sub item. From my testing earlier, this would link them together. That is not what I want. I do not want the values to change in here. Or maybe I do, but it seems dangerous, so I'd rather not. How to set up a dictionary. Yes, I know. But I wanted to think the same way I do right now. And that's why I'm just like, how do I add it without linking them together? How to set multiple... Like, do I have to iterate through each one? Because that sounds like a pain. So is that what? Just, duplicate? Like that? Or... That's why I say, I don't actually know the proper way to do it without... linking them together, because I do not want them to be linked together. I really do not, but I want them to have all the same values. Let's see. Be equal to a value in another dictionary. Yes. Okay. All right. Just reading some help answers here. Okay. You know what? Just to make sure, before I do any shenanigans, let's just go ahead and print path dictionary and pipe info sub item. Because pipe info sub item should not change. And I just want to make sure that nothing is being upset here. Okay. Alright, the values look the same, and if I were to say, pipe dictionary, or path dictionary, sub, current chords, sub x is equal to 100. Just for fun. This isn't gonna break, is it? Let's see. No, that does break it. Ah, shoot. Okay, how do I do this properly? See, this is why I'm checking it now, because this drove me mad when I was doing some of my initial testing, and I don't actually know how to assign this value correctly. I would like to get everything, but I guess if I can only get a small part of it, that might be okay. Because this will destroy everything. Let me see, what's on here? Dictionary duplicate, I definitely do not want it to do that. Keys, make read only. I definitely do not want it to merge. What is recursive equal? Okay, no, I don't need to do that much. I'm not comparing them. Set. No, I don't think that's quite right. Do I literally just have to loop through every value and make them equal to each other that way? Because that sounds annoying. Do I have to do that every time I try to do anything with the dictionary? Okay, well, I'll see if it works. But we'll get rid of this for now, and... So what? Is my syntax correct? Is this how it should look? Is this line typed correctly? Because, that didn't do it. X is 100 and X is 100, so no, this is not working. One is changing the other, and I do not want that to happen. And I froze. Anyway. You are correct. Herpaderp. Okay. Yeah, because that's right, it goes through it twice. Okay. You know what, I should give them labels then if it's gonna go through it twice. Path. And print type info. Okay, let's try that again. Let's see, is it doing it? Path. Type info, X is 100, X is 100. No, this is still setting X to 100. X is definitely not 100 in pipe info. Because, like, if I don't do this, and I reset this, you can see that pipe info... Does it? Yeah. X100, X450. So yeah, that's what I would expect. One is int, one is float. Float, float. Do I make the coordinates floats? No, they're, Okay, I'll try it with something other than 100. Path, dictionaries, current chord sub x is equal to, let's do a really, really, really big number. Oh, that's too big. Okay. Is that good? Okay, it looks good. So it's really, really, really big. No coordinates will ever be like this. So path. Okay. Why is it 100 though? It shouldn't be 100, should it? Oh no, I guess it is, because this is 0, 50, 100. Okay. So there we go. There was my issue. Thank you very much. And hello there, Pineapple. Welcome back. Okay. So yeah, this looks like it's fine. We're good. I do not have to do shenanigans. Alright, so we'll do that. And then I should have a nice dictionary here. So, if there's no splitters involved, if okay, at that point, I think it's safe for me to do this, where if there's no splitters, I can just take the values there, so I can do... Is it... Okay, well, we'll see if this works. So I can take my... Oh yeah, that's right, I was also putting it up here. I forgot about that. And it is clearing it like I would expect, so... Or, no, I still need to keep that there. Anyway, so path dictionary. Can I get a last? Maybe I should make it an array instead of a dictionary. Yeah, because I want to get the last item. This should be an array, not a dictionary. Oops. And we'll put dictionaries in it. But I think that's allowed, so it should be fine. And I shouldn't call it path dictionary if I'm going to do that then. But it's okay, now I didn't know how the dictionaries work, so thank you. How do you clear arrays? Best way to clear an array. Perfect. It is also clear. Awesome, but path array dot clear, and I will still print it to make sure it is being cleared properly. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. And path. So this is going to be wrong for a little bit. Don't worry about it. How do you get the last one? Get last element in array. So where do you get the last? Okay, so -1. Alright. Okay, so we have this. Sub... Okay, I need... This feels really convoluted compared to some other ways I could do it, but I think that this will help keep everything fairly compact, and this way, hopefully, when I do implement splitters, I won't have to do quite as much looping, because I'll have a smaller thing to deal with. And so instead of all the pipes, we'll just have the pipes that are actually connected to this area. So I'll try it like this for now. And I know that if there's no splitters, then whatever is at the end of this array. And I think before it ends, I would also like to know if this gets added to the list properly. So I'm gonna print path array here. I just want to make sure I'm thinking right. And so I'll do that and make sure that whatever is on the end here is going to being returned properly. Alright. And yeah, and as long as there's no splitters, there's no shenanigans, so this is fine. It'll always either come to the vaporizer or the phylactery, one or the other. So what I want is pipe info. Okay, so we're gonna have pipe info. Man, okay. Pipe info sub. Okay, let me get the coordinates that I want out of this. This will be path array -1. And then in there is going to be the dictionary, which should just be that, I think. That's going to be the whole dictionary. And then, no, that'll be... How am I adding this? So this is going to be path array sub... probably just a... Is it just a dot add? Can I just do an add? Or do you have to do like a append? Yeah, it's append. Okay. Dot append. And then we plop this guy in here. And it's pipe info sub item. So this gets the whole dictionary. So I don't actually get its location here. How awkward. So in that case, I think I can just do this. We don't have to do any shenanigans, but there are some dictionaries in there, so I'll keep this just in case. Let's print path array. I'm gonna put my debug code back. And we will print item. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and at the end here, we'll say path array -1 is sub, and then there's going to be dictionaries in there. Okay, I need to know what those look like. Okay. Please show me what these things look like. Oh, and you need to be var. I just want to know what they look like. Okay, so I could actually just get the vector 2. You know what? I think that's easier. I think that's actually perfect. Okay. So if I already know that this is the vector 2, then this is the coordinates, and I don't even have to do shenanigans. I don't even need this. So last equals this. Okay, so that'll give me the chords I need. And now I can update the elements in it, in theory. So I can just say... Well, I'll just do it like this. I can say last sub elements equals... And now that I know that this is doable and will not wreck my face, I can say that it will be pipe info sub item, right? Yep. Item sub elements dot duplicate. True. So this will not wreck me. This is perfect. And now I can just say if last sub name equals phylactery. We do these things. And if it is not the phylactery, which means it'll be like a buffer or a pipe going out of the room. At that point, the elements will be on it. Actually, I don't think this is the way I should do it. Okay. This looks fine. But I need to add some values together, so I think it actually makes more sense to do it like this. So, pipe for element in elements. Let me think. Okay, so for element in pipe info sub item elements. Then we get last sub elements sub element is equal to elements it's equal to this. Element dot duplicate true. Okay. And then we add to it. So this should get the correct number, regardless of how many extractors I have, onto there. And now I can just say that because I already did the math there, I think I can just say that it's equal to this now. Greetings, bot. Anyway, let's continue. And instead, I want this to be sub last. And we'll see if this gets things working in a way that, as long as I'm not using splitters, we're still leaving it as do shenanigans. We're gonna deal with that in just a second. But if this will get it to work, with just this information, then I think that this will be very robust when it comes time to add new buildings that also take energy. Because right now the phylactery is the only thing that cares about energy. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, it hasn't exploded yet. That's a good start. Let's wait for it to come up. Alright, let's build a path. I'm gonna keep it to the simplest path possible. And Actually, I want to test it with 2, so I'll put it here instead. And then I'll put in a little curved pipe. Non-existent in duplicate. Okay, so I don't need this for that. Okay, cool. Okay. The syntax challenges will continue until I become more experienced. It's fine. Then I'll add a friendly curved pipe there. Okay, but it still didn't get water. What am I printing? I don't remember. This must be path array. Okay. That's fine. I know why it's doing that. That's why I wanted to print that, because I actually know. Because when it is phylactery, it doesn't... loop again, so it didn't get added to the array. So we'll just plop it there. And that should catch everything. So let's see. Let me make sure I'm getting the right pipe in there. If pipe equals next. So no, I don't want next, I want pipe. Okay. So we just manually add it. I thought that might be the case, but I wasn't sure. Oh. Invalid access to property or key. Alright. Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't do that. I just do it like this. It's even easier. Alright, one more time. It's alright, as long as it's just syntax shenanigans, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Because I will eventually correct all the syntax things. As long as it's not logic. And there we go, we're getting movement. Can I jump to? Excellent, okay. Let's, get some from here, too, and go even faster. Oh god. It's gonna keep adding. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, so I know exactly what's happening here. Oh, there's a complete path. Right there. It is a complete path. And thus, when I try to add another thing to it, let's get another extractor here. And every time I build, it's gonna find that path. And it's gonna add to the number. And it's just gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going. And it's gonna keep going. It is recognizing more getting into the phylactery, which is awesome. But unfortunately, the numbers don't stop. And, well, this is the result. You get absurdly high numbers. And then it is way beyond what should be happening. Okay, so... Not quite! Not quite. Okay. Okay. I am going to cave. And I'm going to say that I'm just going to put the values on directly in here. I'm still thinking if that works or if it will just continually add when it shouldn't. No, I think I'll run into the same problem. Because what I was thinking of doing is just running through the same thing and adding the values onto the existing values and just doing that again. But I think I run into the same problem if I do that down here. So how do I add it on without, well, causing that to happen again? The solution I had before was much more elegant, so maybe I should stop trying to be fancy and just try that again. Okay, let me go into my dev version over here, and I'll plop in kind of what I had working before. Well, I'm not going to copy and paste it because that would be a terrible idea. So well, it's like just putting things on global variables made things really, really convenient. Because the way that I had it here is I could just basically do this, where I grabbed these and I just plopped it here. I added these amounts that I reset every time. And that was really, really easy. So let me see if this works. But it's okay, I mean, my goal here isn't just to make it work. I also want it to work for some stuff that I want to happen in the future. But yeah, this works, and we can jump, and it's all good. So doing it like this does work. Okay. And then if I do it like this, I can freely... I can freely get these. Okay. I'm talking myself into another potential pattern that I think works okay. So I have this pipe path, and this is nice. So right now, yeah, I'll go ahead and calculate things that go into vaporizers too. Why the hell not? There are going to be buffers later, and they're going to be pipes. So sure, we will put values on them as well. So if there's no splitters, then that means that the path is straightforward. And okay, yeah. I know what I'm looking at here. I'm just thinking about the best way to look at it. And what I think I can do is I can update these values to be whatever they're going to be regardless, and then I only update the phylactery, the buffer item, and all those things afterward? Or... okay. Sorry, I'm changing my mind like every 5 seconds here, but I think I have thoughts that will work. So, I'm gonna make another function. Calculate flow. And this is where we're gonna put the numbers. So I'm gonna do kind of what I planned last time, and this is going to be... I think it's just gonna be a vector 2. And I will call it... No, I think I want it to be the entire array of pipes. So I will call it pipe array. And... it's gonna be an array. The specific type of array is complicated, so we'll just leave it like that. And I don't plan for it to return anything. We'll see if I change my mind. But the purpose of this is going to just be to calculate what should go into the phylactery. And in theory, this should also let me handle the splitters eventually. We're still gonna pretend like splitters don't exist for a little bit. So we'll just leave it like this. And I want to iterate through that. And in theory, if I iterate through this pipe array, then it should properly update the element for every single pipe. That's my hope, because at some point I do want to make it so you can click on a pipe and see how much energy is flowing through it. So I think this will allow me to do that. Incidentally, this is why I'm changing my mind every 5 minutes, because sometimes I'm thinking about, oh, this would work right now, and oh, this would, but maybe like this would be a little bit better for a feature I plan to add later. And thus my brain goes all over the place. I apologize for my shenanigans. I hope that at least watching me go through it all and all the random stuff that happens is at least entertaining. But anyway, let's see. So I'll probably call this like right about here. And we're gonna give it the pipe array. And I want to iterate through every pipe here. Right now we're still gonna pretend splitters don't exist, so we're just gonna set it to whatever is on the extractor, which should be the first one. If it's not, I'm concerned. So, if it's not the first one, something has gone wrong. So, I'm going to say that for pipe in pipe array, we're gonna have pipe info, sub pipe, sub element is equal to pipe array. Let me make a counter. We're gonna start it at 0, yes. So sub counter equal sub okay, so what's in there is no, what's in there is the vector 2s. So no, this isn't it. But we'll see if I actually need that counter, because I was thinking about it wrong. So first, Yeah, I don't think I need the counter, so instead we'll have first is pipe array is going to be pipe info sub pipe array sub 0, because we're going to get the first one, and that should be the extractor. If it's not, we're going to be very scared. And we're going to go through and we're going to say that the elements are equal to first sub elements, or yeah, the elements is plural. And it's a dictionary, so we do that, I think. And if it's not a dictionary, it'll barf at me, and that's fine. I can deal with it barfing at me until I get my syntax right. Let's see. So this is if there are no splitters. And that's all I'm gonna logic for now. I just want to see if this works. Okay, and we'll actually need this to be a plus equals, I think. And if type info... I do not want to do this on the extractor. Name is not extractor. Okay, so we don't do this on the extractor. The extractor does not get free energy. But I think this should track it if there are mergers coming in. I'll test for mergers after, but right now I just want to make sure this works if there's nothing special. I think it might not. My intuition says there's something wrong. But let's see. What did I call that? Calculate flow with... what did I call it? Path array. Okay, so my intuition says there is something wrong. Alright, yeah, so that means... Okay, so I do have to go through each one. Alright, one moment. I kind of really have to go to the bathroom. So, I'll finish up. But give me just a sec. I have to pee and I can't think like this. Trying to think when you really have to pee. Mission impossible. Okay. So, that's right, because I can't do that. So, I will also need to iterate elements. That's okay, that's easy enough to do, because we can just do for element in type in some sub-elements, and then we get element And we get element. And I don't think we have to duplicate here since I'm just doing math. You know what? I'm scared, so I'm gonna do this and let it barf on me, even though I'm pretty sure I don't need to. Look, I am traumatized after spending an hour debugging something because I didn't realize that the dictionaries were syncing with each other, okay? So I'm making extra sure that that's not gonna happen, so it's gonna barf on me now, right? Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am learning, and now I understand, so let's go. Okay, so we got 200. And if I put another extractor up here... Okay, we're still 200. And my friend the curved pipe. 400. Hell yeah. Okay. So, this works. Oh, of course, it's because I just do this. Okay. So I already knew that was gonna work. Okay, well, let's see if my initial intuition was correct in that I'm still going to get, infinitely increasing amounts if I build more pipes after I have a valid connection. Okay. Sure am. Oh, baby. Alright, so I do need to reset values every time then. You know, I think that's actually doable. And then this should give me a solid view for what is going to be in every pipe when somebody looks at it. So I think this will be good for that. So, you know, in the future, when I decide to add this interface, you can click on a pipe and you can see what is inside. And I really want people to be able to do that, which is why I really wanted to be able to do this here. So, unfortunately, I think in order to implement this, we're going to need to clear all the elements in pipe info. But that's easy. So we just take pipe info or pipe in pipe info. If pipe dot sub name is not equal to extractor. And I think that's all that's relevant for now. Eventually, there might be some pipes between rooms that I also want to exclude. But I think I'm going to treat them like sources, not like pipes in this dictionary. So I think this should be okay for that as well. Just think into the future. Pipe sub elements, or I'm going to have to loop for mint in pipe sub elements. We say pipe sub elements sub element equals 0. And this seems a bit odd, perhaps, but I do think that we need to reset this because when you're recalculating the factory, you're recalculating what's on these pipes in essence. So I think that this is correct, and I think it makes sense, and we don't take anything off of the extractors. And then down here, we also do not add anything into the extractors. So I think that will check out. Let's find out. Let's see. Okay. And then I want to test this with mergers. Oh, I have to do it like this. Pipe info sub pipe. Okay, and in that case, this probably needs to be pipe info sub pipe. Yeah, that makes sense because I'm just getting a vector 2. Okay. Let's fix that. For element. Okay, yeah, right. one more place that needs to be pipe info sub pipe instead. Okay, so far so good. Okay, and it's not just increasing anymore. It's still 200, it's still 200. Is it 400 now? Once I connect this, oops, I scrolled past it. Once I add this, it is 600. That is not exactly what we want. Well, shoot. It should be 400, but it added it twice. Yeah, so I think what happened... what did happen? Yeah, so... Is it not clearing a path array properly? Let's make sure of that first. And then what I think is happening is that since a new path is being created, and it is thus getting bigger, it's going through each of them twice. Okay. No, I think I know what's happening. I'm not quite sure how to fix it. I was really hoping to at least get the basics here finished before I have to go, but this time I have to go for real soon. Okay, it is clearing it properly, so that does tell me that unfortunately my hunch here is probably correct. So... It's finding... I probably shouldn't have closed it, but I'll just do it again, it's fine. So what's happening, I think, is that it found a path here, and then it's finding, it's... No, that doesn't make sense, does it? But I was saying that it's just somehow finding one of these twice. Let's print path array. I actually want to... Well, no, this is fine. So what is going in there? Let's find out. I know it's being cleared. This is fine. All is well. But you can see that there are two path arrays that are being cleared there. Okay. Let's just, see what is causing this here. Okay, so we have one, and it has two pieces. That is good. Alright, friend, you're about to get really complicated. And we're getting two. No, that's actually not good. Is it? No, because I don't have any other prints in there, so this should be fine. 150 and 250. 150 and 250. This one should have way more pipes. Why do you have so few pipes? Oh, of course, because I'm building it like this. Okay, this should not be item. I mean, we do want to start with item. So I'll plop that up there, but this should be current, I think. So current Should be current chords. Yeah, because I'm just getting the XY. So there we go. That's why that felt so weird. Okay. Let's see if that gets it. Okay, we're good. This should not be 3 things, though. It should only be 2 things. Okay, so I don't need to get this one, then. It's still being added correctly. You know what? I wanna fix that and do it right. Oh, the joy of debug code. It makes life so much easier. You can catch mistakes before they become a problem. Alright. So let's make this path. Does it work? No, it's still 600, but... So let's see, we have the small one there, then we have this guy. This is 0, 50, 100, 150. 0, 50, 100, 150, 200, and 250. So yeah, this is the right one. But then why do we only have 2 pipes? It should iterate through all of them. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How awkward. Okay, I'm gonna do a loop counter. And yes, I am intentionally setting it to 0 up there and then immediately incrementing it, so this way it'll be 1, because I want it in something I can understand, and I want it to start at 1. Because I prefer that. So let's get this. Print. Path array. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I'm just gonna build right from here. Okay, no, we're good. I guess it only the debugger doesn't show the entire array? Because it looks like everything is being added okay, it's just, for whatever reason not showing me the whole thing? Does the debugger not show the entire array? I just want to print the whole array. How to view more than 9 entries. Okay, so that is a thing. Okay. Okay, well, if it's a thing and it's working, but it's just not showing them to me, I mean, weird choice, but as long as it's working, I think it's fine. So I won't worry about that, I guess. But I need to know why this is 600 instead of 400. Because that's still not quite right. Okay, and I don't need the loop counter anymore. Alright, so that should be fine. Which means that this isn't going to give me anything accurate anyway, so let's see how many times this is called. Hello. Hello, my little function. How many times are you called if I do stuff like this? Okay, so we got once. Oh god, it's already almost time. I gotta go. Okay, once, and now it should be twice. Hello, hello. Yep. Did I make one 400 or something? Am I just misremembering my numbers? 200 of water, 800 of air, 200 of water. Okay, so this is fine. Just to make sure that the numbers are correct here, I'm gonna go ahead and... because, I mean, I feel like everything is fine. It called the number of times I thought it should, which makes me wonder if I just put a different value than I thought I did into the extractor. So, here, friendly extractor, can you print your elements, please? I'll only do it if you find the path. Okay. Print. And instead of your name, I don't care about your name, I want your elements. Okay. Alright, let's get this built here. So... water 200, air 400. Perfect. Alright. Get my turnpipe in there. Water 200, air 400. Water 200, and yet water is 600. Okay. So, the elements are all correct. I am not misremembering. Can you print water amount for me? Yeah, let's do it here. So how much is getting put into it for each one? I want to figure this out! It's bothering me! I really need to go, but I really want to figure it out! Okay, I need a label for this. Print. Inside... phylactery. I don't even care if I spelled it wrong right now. Let's see if I can solve the problem. Inside phylactery. 0. Okay. Print. Inside phylactery. Okay, and so inside phylactery is still 0, so this one is still 0. I guess you can't see what I'm highlighting. Let me... So, yeah, this value is still 0. This value is 200. This is correct. Why are you 600? Okay. Anyway, oh, I think I know what it is, actually. I think I figured it out. Anyway, but I'll still run through it to see if my hunch is correct. Oops. 200. Because, yeah, now water amount. Wait, why is water amount 400? Oops. No, this one's 400. Why is this one? Okay. No, I think I know a better way to do this. As long as no splitters are doing that, but because it's because I add them down here. I don't need to add them up here too. I think that's it. I'm gonna get rid of my prints since they are kind of behaving the way I expect. But I think that's the only issue. I think I'm just adding them in 2 places. And I do think I'd rather add them onto the phylactery. Yep, that was it. Okay, cool. Freaking math, man! But it's okay! Look, we have the basic thing working without splitters. And, you know, just for funsies, I want to see if it works with mergers. I can take a couple of minutes. So this way I can at least say that I've gotten a merger working. And that'll be good for my self-esteem. Don't even have to set myself on fire for it. It's beautiful. Okay, so we got this here. This here. And flip it there. Okay. Then we get a normal pipe. Goes there, and now I can build a phylactery. And it is 400. Mergers work. I'm gonna call that success, and splitters are a nightmare, and I have to deal with recursive stuff, and oh my god. So we'll leave splitter logic like this for now. If has splitters false, you do some stuff. Otherwise, you do shenanigans. And we will figure out those shenanigans next time. I may or may not stream me trying to figure this out, because it requires thorough knowledge of how I want splitters to work. And thus makes it very difficult to talk about. So, at the very least, on Friday, I am determined to have splitters ready. Or not Friday, Thursday. Next Thursday. And if I am unable to do that, I will be sad. But I will do my best. At the very least, this feels good. I want to do this first, just because it makes me happy. And then we just make sure it's the phylactery. And then we can recalculate everything, and it'll be fantastic. So I think that this will be very robust for figuring out some things in the future, so I'm glad that I did it. But I gotta run away. I'll find someone to raid. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to talk to them today, which is unfortunate, but got to talk to some fun people. So let's see if I can find someone nice to raid. Is there another VTuber doing some programming? Well, while I find that, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow. Find someone to raid. Okay. Let's see, not seeing any VTubers working in Godot specifically, so let's go see if we can find someone working in Godot. Let's see if we can find someone. Oh, hey. Reworking lots of stuff that broke. Or, wait, but that's a German. Man. Is there anything in English? Oh, it's okay. You know what? Reworking lots of stuff that broke. I'm sure you could use the moral support. So, go say hi to this guy. And, yeah, hope to see you all tomorrow. It'll be the last episode of Copy Kitty. I'm gonna finish the game. So, see you later.